Hello everybody and welcome to the second part. Last time we took a look at a study by Abuhamdeh and Csikszentmihalyi about the connection of enjoyment and challenge. As I read the article, I agreed, but I started to think about the concept of psychological needs. Does it support the findings in the study? What constellations are possible and what could be an example for such an activity? Those questions we will take a look at. Please be aware that the following are thought experiments. They are not supported by any reliable source other than my own ability to think. First, hobbies. The intrinsic, goal-oriented activity. Autonomy, competence and relatedness should be high. Autonomy. We choose hobbies ourselves. It is our own decision to partake in these activities. A possible extrinsic motivation could be, for example, the rules of a game, but we tend to internalize them and accept them as a part of the game. Competence. Usually we compete against equally strong opponents. They might be our own age, in the same rank, similar elo level, etc. And therefore we should be facing a challenge. Relatedness. Generally, a hobby is an activity we like because of the activity itself as well as what is connected with it, for example, its image or the community. We are willing to get involved and seek new challenges in order to enhance our fun. Now let's take a look at the complete opposite. No psychological need is satisfied. We have to do something because someone told us to. We suck at the activity and we have no connection to it whatsoever. Imagine a kid who wants to play football, but the parents want the kid to learn to play the piano. And I assume this child is completely unmusical and has no interest in music at all. There is no competence, no relatedness that could lead to internalization. This hobby is nothing but a chore and probably always will be. And at this point I asked myself, is it even possible to reach a level of zero competence satisfaction? We could argue that there's always a possibility to create a challenge by downgrading a task, like learning a new language. The lowest step might be learn one word and its meaning, but can we transfer this downgrade to every activity? And most of all, do we enjoy this downgraded activity? And this is a point I'm unsure about. On one hand, yes, you might be able to downgrade every activity to a point everybody could do something. But on the other hand, we have to take the context into account. Imagine we are playing a video game. We are playing for ourselves. We do not look at the scoreboard or research how we perform compared to others. We are having fun because we are feeling competent. We can see that we are making progress, performing better every time. But at some point we are interested in how we perform and we take a look at the leaderboard. Now sadly we discover that we are the worst player out there. Do you think we still enjoy playing the game as much as before? In my opinion, if a challenge is realistic and we perform badly, our perceived competence decreases. We have no problem accepting that we are not as good as a professional, but being bad compared to people with the same experience and possibilities makes us feel inferior. And this thought coincides with the results of the study. Low autonomy, high competence, and neutral relatedness. Take the example with the piano again, but now the kid is very talented, so the need for competence can be satisfied. It still wasn't the kid's idea to play the piano, and it still isn't interested in the world of music, but it can experience achievement. We could say it is a fast learner. So is it possible to enhance the enjoyment by adding a challenge? In my opinion, yes, but it depends on the relatedness. We said that the kid isn't interested in music. That means there are no good and no bad feelings. It is a neutral attitude. This scenario I experience a lot of times with friends. Not all of them are into video games, but when we hang out we usually end up playing. I asked the non-gamers to join us, and they refused at the beginning, but eventually they joined because of the relatedness. They don't want to let us down. And the second they start playing, you can clearly see that they are having fun. They are swinging the controller around, they're making faces and noises. But when we finish, I ask, hey, that was fun, right? And the answer is almost every time the same. Yeah, that was okay, but video games aren't for me. Although they had fun, they somewhat don't want to admit it. Sadly, video games still have a bad reputation and they don't want to be declared as a gamer. If an activity has a neutral reputation, it is possible to increase the enjoyment by adding a challenge, in my opinion, but it is unlikely that the participants will internalize it in a way that they are seeking new challenges on their own. They have to be triggered to accept another challenge. Let's call this scenario neutral minus. Please note, the challenge is determined by the game. Let your friends join in easy to learn games like Mario Kart, but not in high skill games like Dark Souls. Now we imagine a neutral plus scenario. We go back to the kid learning to play the piano. Like the video game scenario, the kid can have fun playing if the need for competence is satisfied. And additionally, it discovers that music actually isn't all that bad. The relatedness rises. Hey, there's more to it than just Mozart, and I can play with my friends together. What started initially as an extrinsic motivated activity, a chore, can be internalized. The autonomy is not anymore because my parents said so. The kid will actively seek for new challenges for more enjoyment. Now let's take a look at negative relatedness. Is it possible to enhance the enjoyment via a challenge too? Imagine someone takes you hunting and wants you to shoot an animal, but you love animals and you don't want to kill him. Would it make a difference to you if you could choose to either shoot a rabbit in a cage or a duck flying by? The sentence, I don't want to kill an animal, but if I have to, it'd rather be fun, doesn't make that much sense to me. The feeling of violating our own ideals negates any possible fun. Low autonomy, high competence, and high relatedness. Imagine a kid who wants to learn how to play the drums, but the parents are worried about the noise pollution and only allow piano or guitar. In the first moment it seems very bad, because it's not what the kid wanted, it is a whole different instrument. But on the other hand, the relatedness to the music can still be pursued, and the talent in music applies as well. An internalization is possible, and challenge could lead to greater enjoyment. That is, if the focus lies on the music. It is possible that the focus lies on the activity itself, playing the drums. The relatedness does not extend to, I want to make music. It is more like, I want to be a drummer. In this case, it would probably end in a neutral minus or even negative relatedness. So the context is very important. Low competence and high relatedness. This constellation is a tricky one. We said before that competence and challenge do not always work hand in hand, depending on the context. Take school for example. Every kid has to learn the same things at the same speed, regardless of competence. Tests and exams are the challenges the kids have to meet. They are being told, you can do this. If you score a bad grade, then you did something wrong, like not study enough. In other words, for some students there are unrealistic challenges. There is no differentiation in skill, like for example in ELO level in games. This is a little preview of what the third part is about. But the question at hand is, can a challenge enhance enjoyment, although we don't have the skill to meet it? In high school I was, and I still am, bad in French. I have no connection to the language at all. And I score bad grades since the first exam, so I never had a feeling of accomplishment. And if that wasn't bad enough, my first couple of teachers were real jerks. I could not care less if I got a bad grade. But on the other side there was math. I always liked math, but the big problem was I sucked at it in high school. I had really bad grades, but I wanted to be good. I even chose a major in mathematics, and it was my worst subject. Did I have fun back then? No, not at all. I gave my best, and the only feedback I received was, "Not good enough, try harder next time." Every exam was an unrealistic challenge for me. But in French, I accepted my fate. I am bad, and there is nothing I can do about it. In math, I refused to be defeated. I kept telling myself that those exams and grades, those challenges, are bullshit and that they don't mean anything. I declared them officially as unrealistic challenges, and so it didn't hurt that much when I failed. Like the study states, it is not that bad to lose against a stronger opponent. It is like in competitive online gaming. We have a high relatedness. We like the game and we want to be good because we enjoy everything about it. But the more we lose, the more reasons we find why it is anything but our own skill fault we lose. We are unlucky, we get paired with bad teammates, we get matched against the strong opponents. Matchmaking is overall bad anyway. We do everything to not have to admit and accept that we are not able to rise to this challenge. In conclusion, it was very difficult for me to perform all these thought experiments. There are so many factors why we pursue an activity. It is hard to think of an archetype that would fit fixed values of autonomy, competence, and relatedness. I'm sure you have some counterexamples and probably don't agree with everything I said. In my opinion, it is possible to enhance the enjoyment of an activity by adding a challenge. But there are two aspects that are very important: relatedness and context. With relatedness, I mean if we like an activity and everything around it. Context means, are there any factors that could interfere with our perception of the challenge? For example, we want to play the guitar, but we have to play the piano. Our relatedness might decrease and therefore the impact the challenge could have. Or realizing that we aren't as good of a gamer as we thought. Our perceived competence decreases, which might interfere with our ego. The challenge won't be of intrinsic nature, but rather extrinsic. I hope you enjoyed this little trip. I thank you for watching. Until next time, have a good one.